This video is the copyright of VLS Seguru Training Institute, Bangalore. All data and information contained in this e-learning video is confidential and proprietary information of VLS Seguru Training Institute. This video access is offered with a trust on every student. We hope student reciprocates the trust by ensuring video access is not misutilized. This video e-learning module is for exclusive and personal use of the individual that purchased this module from VLS Seguru Institute. VLS Seguru Institute licenses this module for personal use only, and any other use is prohibited, which includes recording, distributing, sharing, or any other training purpose. And any violations of this agreement will result in legal action. I am expecting course to be around 3 to 4 months. Hopefully we'll try to do in 3 months, but it may extend by another month because we are talking about implementing design and verifying that. We'll plan to do around 3 sessions, shorter sessions per week, and it will be more interactive based. Interactive, or rather I would say assignment based. The expectation is, if you see other courses like System Verilog, Methodology, what we generally offer, the trainer does most of the things, and we just expect that you go home and practice those things or revise those things. Rather, in some cases, we give some other topic as assignment you to work on. In this case, we would want same activity. For example, we are working on PCI. We'll be dividing PCI. Of course, PCI design development will be divided into three aspects: transaction layer, design and verification, data link layer, design and verification, physical layer, design and verification. Probably we'll be spending around 1 month on each of them. Maybe in some cases it could be more than that. Let's say if I take physical layer, it will be quite complex. It may at least require another 50% more than what other layers require. I think transaction layer we should be able to code in 1 month time. Our previous experience was like, when I was doing this PCI course previously, I did almost 100% of things. Students were just watching and just going through the code. I believe it didn't really help them. That is because if I do, right, attending previous courses, you would know that unless you practice, unless you get assignments and you do the things, you don't learn. Just by watching me doing the things, you don't benefit. And we don't want similar experience this time around. So we'll try to ensure that it's a assignment based, where we'll divide the work into stages. Let's say I'm working on PCI Express transaction layer. We'll divide that into design understanding. Different stages, rather say design understanding, coming up with architecture, architecture, of course, it will include interfaces, subblocks, ports, clock frequencies, clocks and frequencies, resets, everything. That, of course, includes the ports itself. And then coming up with features, dividing the features into categories: feature development in multiple stages, then coding the design, then parallelly setting up UVM based test bench environment, then simultaneously work on design and test bench coding till we code all the features. This is our typical flow to do. Probably at times we will use spreadsheets, like here we'll use spreadsheets to track what all features are required, have we completed those features, those kind of things. Uh, that's a top level summary. I mean, similar thing will follow for data link layer, for physical layer as well. At this point, as we discussed before, I won't be able to commit on how many weeks or how many months each of them may take, because transaction layer might take less time because it is relatively simple among all the blocks, and because it just involves generating different types of transaction layer packets uh, from by getting the transactions from the AX interface. Here, if I take this is how this interface will look like. This will be my SOC interconnect. This is connected to the interconnect. Let's say this is AXI interconnect. The one that goes into the design, this will be completely my SOC overall. Into the SOC, root complex will go. Root complex, of course, again will have a transaction layer subblock, data link layer subblock, and MAC subblock. This PCI transaction layer basically interacts with the AXI interconnect, in turn, which is connected to the processor cores. So when it generates AXI transaction, the AXI transaction gets generated and goes to the AXI to PCI bridge, which gets driven to the transaction layer. Transaction layer in turn buffers these transactions that are coming in. I mean, AXI transactions will be either two types: write transaction or a read transaction. If it's a write transaction, again it will try to figure out whether it's a memory write, IO write, config write, are there different writes. When you study the transaction layer, PCI transaction layer, you will understand what all types of transactions does transaction layer supports. Almost there are around 20, close to 20 types of transaction it supports. So it will accordingly frame those transaction layer packets. Again, transaction layer packet in turn itself has around 30 fields. So each of them are dependent upon what type of transaction you are issuing. So we are talking about around 20-25 types of transaction layer packets that will be generated by the transaction layer and given to the data link layer. The type of transaction layer is classified based on those fields. It has got format, type, different things. I mean, again, the address, the data word size, everything. All these things will be decided based on the kind of transaction that comes from here. It will be forwarded to the data link layer. In turn, data link layer supports various concepts like flow control management, ACNAC management, and all those things. So that is what we will handle in the data link layer. So in turn, it sends that packet to MAC layer. MAC layer does the link setting up. Other than that, it takes care of the driving of the data in a serial fashion on the pipe interface. So whatever is happening for the transmit, same thing will happen in the reverse for the receive portion. Just that we are dividing all this functionality into various layers. The functionality specific to transaction layer, functionality specific to data link layer, functionality specific to MAC layer. So in this course, we will be implementing all these blocks: this bridge block, transaction layer block, data link layer block, MAC layer block. And wherever required, we'll be implementing the memories, we'll be implementing all the required interfaces, and trying to set up a test bench environment to verify that design. So coming back to the discussion, of course, other than interfaces, ports, we need to list down registers also, and any memories that are required, because there should be memories specific to the block, of course. Memory specific to transaction layer, memory specific to data link layer, memory specific to physical layer. All those things will be implementing. The course prerequisites. The basic, I mean, as you know, it's a very good understanding on PCI protocol, all layers, and a top level overview of how PCI interfaces with the SOC. I mean, where does PCI connect and how it interfaces? Again, there are multiple terms like PCI root complex, PCI endpoint, these kind of things. Then there's no bridge, as a bridge will be for some other things. So these kind of things you should be familiar with. This is offered as a separate course outside this what we are doing. I mean, it is also offered as a pre-recorded videos that gives a quick overview of what each layer does. But if you wish, you think that you can do without, I mean, taking the course and you can read by yourself, this is the document we'll be providing you with. So in this document, it will have the complete details about the different layer implementation. If I go to transaction layer, it will be around 53 to 155. So 100 pages document which explains everything about how transaction layer works. So what all types of address spaces are there. So I was telling about 4 address spaces: memory, IO, configuration, message. So why each of them are used? Again, in turn, what all things each of them has. If I take memory, there are again 3 types: read, write, atomic operations. If I take IO, again there are multiple types, configuration, multiple types. So it just talks about for each of them what should be the type of TLP. So if you go further, they'll talk about TLP description. Here, as you are seeing, this is how a typical TLP looks like. If you compare with our general packets, Ethernet frame or a simpler packets, you will see that it's quite complex, and the header is what makes it whole complicated. I mean, header itself has almost around 20 fields. So though generating this packet is what transaction layer does. So while generating, there are few things it has to take care. I mean, ensuring that it gets the complete data from the AX interface, that is the interface that is connected to the host, and ensuring that TLP is generated properly with the right CRC, with all the fields properly set. So this is what will be going to transaction layer. Uh, I'll be sharing this document anyway. You can go through it. If you think that there is a I mean, you would like to take the protocol training course as well, you can always come back to us with that requirement. What I will do is, assuming that you are familiar with PCI protocol, will be directly, since it's a demo session, I don't want just to be talking about course overview, timings and other things. Probably all those things we can talk in few minutes time. Let's start with a quick course overview, and just to give you a quick feel of how a session will go. Uh, what we would probably be doing is, I mean, if I take PCI transaction layer, we'll divide this into multiple aspects where, or it could be, yeah, we'll track it through a spreadsheet itself. It would be quite easy for us to track. Um, one is protocol understanding. Okay. Feature listing down. Interface description. Or let's do here this way. registers, clocks, users. Some clocks. As discussed, we won't be going in depth because it's, I mean, for people who have already done the PCI training, where they have undergone training in PCI protocol, it will be again a repetition for them. So I would suggest either you follow this document in deep, you study, because since we are doing it over a span of month, you should be able to spend some time and understand this document. If you think that you are not able to follow, you will require some assistance, you can always come back to us. So if I take transaction layer, protocol understanding, what does it do is, in our design, it interfaces with the host, I would say processor, till the time you get comfortable, through AXI to PCI bridge. Connected to AXI interconnect. AXI interface is used since we need high performance. I mean, it's a very high data throughput, right? Is used since for high data throughput. And transaction layer on other side interfaces with data link layer. So transaction layer will have a buffer. I mean, it's like a writing down a quick summary what all things we know about transaction layer. I know this list won't be elaborate. That is where we'll divide this course into assignment based, where we'll give you a time. We'll ask you to come up with this summary. We'll give you time. We'll ask you to come up with interface description. I don't want to be a scenario where I did last time, where I had to do everything. When I was just doing, people who are just watching or listening are just going through my notes. So we will try to make it in such a way that I'll be giving this spreadsheet to you. I'll ask you to come up with this spreadsheet probably in a few days time or in a week's time. Then we'll monitor how you're doing. It may take another few weeks or months time overall more, but it ensures that you are also getting involved in this whole coding exercise. Okay. Transaction layer has associated buffers, memories, where it buffers incoming or outgoing AXI transactions. It also does what? It buffers transaction layer packets, transaction layer packet data. It has got registers, many registers. Now I can't even say right away, right now, because by reading the specification we can list down only after reading complete spec. So as we start reading the specification, each line will tell, do you require a register for this or not? Let's say there is an option where the transaction layer decides if you can generate a posted transaction or non-posted transaction, and it can be configurable. It becomes a register. So as you start reading this specification, you will automatically come to know whether will I require register for some feature or not. I mean, if you read this description itself might tell you will you require any register specific to this or not? So I want this kind of intelligence from you, where you are also able to read the part of specification and come up with what all registers this whole transaction layer requires. Then it supports how many types of transaction layer packets? Let's quickly see. Uh, 4 types of transactions. What are those? Configuration, memory, IO, message. In turn, they will be divided into posted, non-posted, read with completion, like this, all these things. Here, these are all the types. TLP types supported. You can write down, refer to page number 60. TLP consists of prefix, header, payload. You can see the typical TLP format, and rather they don't call it as payload, they call it as data, and this one, digest. So transaction layer parses, I would say, incoming AXI transaction. It could be write or read, and generates transaction layer packets. That's all. And this generated transaction layer packet will be driven on TL DLL transmit interface. And in reverse, transaction layer also collects TLP from DLL TL receive interface. Transaction, this is a quick summary. You can, as we go forward, you can see what is the significance of each of the fields. No need to understand each field that going into prefix. Header is most important here. Data and digest. Data, digest and prefix will be single things. Header is the most important thing. Again, there is a header format also. If you go up, there will be a detailed page which will explain about what should be the header, what is the significance of each of the fields in the header. Somewhere they would write. Yeah. Again, headers differ for each of the types, each type of packet. The header description, differs with type of packet, type of TLP you are being used. Okay. So typically it has got fields like format, type, traffic class, attributes, th, td, ep, again attribute, at, length. If you go to little complex, it may have another few more fields. So it's all about understanding all these fields. It's about, given AXI transaction, how do we come up with the different values for these things. So it won't be simple one-to-one conversion. It will require some implementation where we need to implement different registers, different subblocks, and accordingly generate the TLPs. as we discussed, it requires buffers, and we'll be generating the design for this. Okay. That's about the protocol understanding. Uh, so we'll, as said, will be, I mean, you'll get time to read the spec and come up with these points from your side. Similarly, interface description. How many interface does it have? If you see this diagram, how many interface do you see here for this, for a transaction layer? For our coding convenience, we'll be calling both of them as a transaction layer. Ideally, there should have been a separate block called as bridge outside, but just to keep the thing simple, we are going to code this bridge inside the transaction layer itself. So it has got totally three interfaces, I mean two interfaces at least from the diagram, but there will be another interface here where we'll be using that interface to program from the AHP configuration ports. So how many interfaces do you see here? Three interfaces. One is this side, one is this side, one is this side. This interface you can further divide into two categories. One is receive interface, one is transmit interface. So we'll call it totally as how many? Four interfaces. What is the first interface? The configuration interface, AHB configuration interface. It's anyway interface, so configuration I repeat. We need to know, first thing we need to know is protocol, frequency, the functionality. I mean, why we need that interface. In this case, the protocol we'll use will be AHP protocol. Frequency will be, we'll come up with the frequency as we go to that, as we start coding. Functionality is to, transaction layer has many registers. I mean, many registers for configuring transaction layer functionality. So this interface is used to program those registers and also used to read status registers. Other interface it has got is host interface, I would say, host AX interface. In this case, it will be AXI. Frequency is specific to the interconnect frequency. Functionality will be generate, write, read transactions targeted to PCIe endpoints. So various types of transactions, they are like memories. There will be different types of messages, transactions required. Memory, it required to send IO transactions, it required to spend config transactions sometimes. Messages. In fact, messages will only come in the return, but I'm just writing down everything, what all types of things need to be generated. Oh, no, 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 I'm sorry. Oh, the end target is this, but AXI will only generate, this interface will only give AXI type of write or read transactions. So it is for the transaction layer to decide how it is going to decide whether to generate memory, whether to generate IO or config, all those things. Uh, you see, I have introduced one term called as root complex somewhere, targeted to PC, sorry, endpoints. The endpoint basically, if you have done a course on PCI or if you have attended our course, you would know what is endpoint. But let me just quickly give you a overview what is endpoint here. If this is my laptop, basically PCI supports a star-based topology where there will be a root complex inside my SOC. Here there will be a root complex. If this is processor is connected to the interconnect. This in turn is connected to the root complex. This sends out a transaction and this will send a link. Through a link it connects to another PCI device. Another PCI device can be either switch or it can be endpoint. As the name suggests, endpoint means that has ended. It can't go beyond that. That is the last thing in the leaf. It's a leaf, last link in the leaf. If it is a switch, you are saying that there are few more things that are need to be connected to PCI connections. So if it is a switch, it can in turn give some more connections like this. Let's say you want to connect few more devices, you connect another switch. So if you want to stop it here, this will be endpoint. Everything is more of plain English. Can we see here? Root complex. It is the root from where everything is starting. And if it wants to extend further, use a switch. Otherwise, use an endpoint. Let's say you wanted to extend it further, use a switch. Let's say here you are ending. Let's say here you are ending. Let's say here we are ending. Here we are ending. So what is this processor is doing is, processor first wants to know what all devices are connected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not only 6, 7, 8, 9. Because in this topology, switch is also one device. Switch is also one component that is connected in the topology. So processor should have complete information about everything that is connected. That is the first thing. Processor should know what is each type of device. Is it a memory? Is it a IO device? Does it only deal with messages, or does it a configuration device? Is it a functionality where I need to do only programming configuration? So it needs to know all that information. So for that, there will be some configuration that need to be done in the our design in the transaction layer, so that it knows what is the type of device I'm targeting, what type of transaction am I supposed to generate. And as you see, as I said that it's a star-based topology. Now I hope you can understand why it is a star-based topology. You can see it more looks like a star. Star. The directions that are emanating out of switch are looking like a star. That's why it's called as a star-based topology. The complexity comes in because the PCI Express protocol supports generating transactions to one or more endpoints at the same point of time. So individually they establish a link. Once it goes here, it has to decide whether it has to be forwarded to this endpoint, or this endpoint. The decision making and how do we send the packets, how do we route the packet. There are different types of packet routing: address, implicit and message, ID based routing. There are 3 routings. So all these concepts is what is covered in the PCI Express protocol course. As I said, we won't be going in depth again revising all those things. You can always do a course through the already recorded videos if you wish. Do you have any questions till this point? Okay. So this is about host interface. Other than host interface, what else do we need? Do we have transaction layer, data link layer, transmit interface? There is no specific protocol.
Srinivas, I have a small question.
Yeah.
Sir, since we program in my PCI design the configurations, how does it corresponds to a particular endpoint with respect to the endpoint? Because as explained that a particular endpoint can only be attributed for a config purpose also.
Can be attributed to?
Only config purpose, and there can be multiple
No, no,
endpoints.
no, no. See, a endpoint itself can have individual functions. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, endpoint itself can have individual functions. We can implement those as well. I mean to say, let's say I have one device, one endpoint or one slave device, one peripheral device, I would say. It can be divided into multiple spaces. I mean, some part of memory, some part of address for memory, some part of address for configuration. It is possible, right? You can have a memory, which we can have a, let's say keyboard is there. A part of the
Yes, yes.
keyboard will be meant for configuration purpose. Part of the keyboard is meant for doing transactions to keyboard peripheral.
Yes.
So that is possible, right? I hope it answers your question.
Yes, yes, yes.
So another interface is for transaction layer, data link layer, transmit interface. There is no specific protocol for this. We will implement, I mean, custom, we would say. It's a simple protocol where custom handshake based protocol. Frequency also will decide. The functionality is what? Transaction layer is generating TLPs, and these are driven to data link layer. Just that data link layer should be up before TL transmits packet. Next is what? DLL, TL, receive interface. Again, same custom handshake. Custom means we will create our own interface. We won't use AXI, AHB kind of thing. It's a simple where data out will be there, valid out, valid in, valid out, ready in, some kind of that interface. Frequency also will decide. And similarly, data link layer collects the, basically AXI is meant for a high performance, right? Oh, this, I'll divide this into two parts. Why AXI can't be used for configuring registers. Register configuration only requires single write read transfers. So which APB would have been sufficient, but if we are directly, again it will require a bridge, but the programming will come from a processor which supports either AHB, right? Or in generally it will be AHB only, AHB or AXL, let's say. So again we will require a bridge. So hence APB is kind of ruled out. I mean, we don't want to again code a AHB to APB bridge in the design. So they directly use, we have two options now, two options left. One is use AXI or AHB. If given option, we will go with AHB because AHB will reduce the signal togglings, right? I mean, so many signals won't be required. The number of signals that are in AXI won't be required in AHB. That is because We don't want to do burst type of transfers and all those things. All we want to do is configuration register, which requires only single write transfer. That's the reason. Data link layer collects transaction layer packets coming from physical layer and forwards those to transaction layer on this interface. That is about interface description. Now next thing is ports. You can write down ports here. Of course, AHP ports, AXA, wherever it is obvious, I am not going to write those. For transaction layer, data link layer, transmit, what I will do, we will have one data out. We'll give the names whenever we feel it's appropriate. We'll give the names. Data out, we'll keep it as 8 bits. Valid out, ready in. I think right now, I mean that's all right now. Clock, of course, common things. Data in, valid in, ready out. Of course, other than clock, we need at one point when you start reading, you will see that there is a need for a common signal called as link up, data link layer up, which will tell that data link layer is up. Unless it is up, we won't be able to send a packet to it. If you, without data link layer up, if you send a transaction layer packet, it will be lost. So there is a handshaking that is required where data link layer says that I'm up, only then transaction layer starts transmitting. Like this, I mean, what is that I require is I want you to read the specification, do some homework and come up with these things in more depth. I mean, what I have done is a basic information. Now beyond this, there will be many things that we may be missing, which we may be coming across when we start coding. That is what we want to avoid. The whole idea is designs are not coded this way, right? Where person starts coding and he will get some idea that this feature is to be implemented, this need to be implemented, so I'll add again. No, right? First it need to be thoroughly implemented, listed down. All these points need to be listed down. Only then when you start implementing, it takes in it completes in a very minimal effort. Otherwise, if you start adding features on the fly, if you think that this is missed out, this is missed out, the whole coding becomes very cumbersome. I mean, because you have to keep changing the coding style, everything at every point. That is the reason we want to spend initial few days where we just do this work, where we do this kind of documentary work, where we list down the things, where we come up with features, everything. I think we already listed the features. This can be listed in more detail. Of course, this protocol understanding is one aspect. Feature listing down is what? First point will be what all features it supports. In summary, it supports only transaction layer packet generation, but what all things it has got. I think same thing, but probably I would. I mean, what I would do is I would give you time to read through this. Read the transaction layer from PCI spec and list down features. Okay. So I will leave it as an assignment to you. So please work on this. So in the meantime, I will also be listing down, and so when we meet for next session also, we'll be working on this further. Now, why we need registers? As of today, I don't have an idea. I mean, we may have done for previous time where we have done this project, but Today I don't have. Again, I would suggest you to read through the spec. Read from transaction layer in spec. List down features, list down registers. One thing you need to notice is spec will never tell you that this should be a register. Spec will not tell you that you will require a register for this. It is, I mean, purely goes by our discretion whether we need a register or not. That is how designs differ, right? If you go to a company like Broadcom, Qualcomm, Intel, all of them may have PCI root complex code, or all of them may be taking a design from Synopsys, depending on what is the requirements, right? So there can't be a unique register definition. Every company will have their own registers, their own meaning for individual fields. But at the end, the whole idea of coding is to meet this PCI functionality. But the way they list down features, where they list down registers, individual register description can differ a lot. So, but for our purpose, we'll go through the spec and we'll come up with our own register set. Wherever you think that something that decides PCI transaction layer functionality, or it tells PCI transaction layer status. So anything that affects PCI transaction layer functionality, or that gives PCI transaction layer status in terms of packet transmission completed. I mean, what is meant by status? What all status we can think of? For example, some interrupt is generated. Data link layer is up. It can be one status. I mean, even though it is specific to data link layer, but even from transaction layer we can track this. TLP transmission completed. TLP transmission receiving completed. All this can be tracked in the registers. Okay, like this, whatever, I mean, when you read the specification, whatever you think it can be controlled, we can do that. Now, coming to why do we need configuration registers, let's decide. We'll require these registers because without registers, without programming what is the address space of each endpoint, transaction layer will not know what type of TLP to generate. For example, endpoint 1 is a memory, pure memory, a SDRAM or DDRAM memory, some memory. So I need to tell that this is the memory, what is the start address range, end address. How do I tell this? By using registers. Similarly, endpoint 2, what is the type of it? I need to tell that it's a configuration space, and what is the different address ranges and address range. Again, I'll require a configuration registers for that. Okay. This similarly will do for all the endpoints. I mean, how many are endpoints that are required? We'll try to support all these things. Basically, transaction layer will work on a concept of DMA pipes. What DMA pipes does is, in one interface, in one side, they have descriptors. Basically, DMA pipes have registers where we configure where to get the data from, and another way, and where to drive the data to, and how much data. This information when we give, using this, DMA pipes will get the data that is AXI written data, and drives it on TL DLL interface. So whenever we say DMA, it will require lot of registers. We'll use DMA channels for transmit and receive of TLPs. It will require lot of registers. Okay, so again, I would leave it to you to read the spec and come up with these things. Come up with this. What more we can do? I mean, what more registers we can do? Probably when we start code. I mean, at the end, my whole idea is when we start coding the design, when we start writing module transaction layer, we should know everything. We should know how many registers we have to code. We should know what is the exact interface description, what is the frequency. We should know what all features we are going to implement. All these things we should be having idea. Any questions till this point? Again, I think clocks and resets are not exactly required because we have already written clocks and resets as part of the interface definition itself. Here itself we'll write what is the need for that clock, everything. Registers we have listed. Again, as said, will give you time to read through this, come up with the more of this configuration. What all subblocks are required? As you saw some time back, that it will require, first thing is what? Configuration and status registers. Do you have any questions till this point? Now coming back to the subblocks, as you are seeing, we need one subblock for configuration and status registers, DMA subblock, then one block for transaction layer generation, transaction layer. As we start going, I mean, again, this is where we need to spend some time and come up with this architecture diagram. I would give you some time to do this. When we meet for next session, when we start with the actual coding exercise, before that we would complete this whole thing. Okay, so next will be the next would be the verification environment. Verification environment will be UVM based. So it assumes that you have little exposure to UVM, and so in this case, again, we need to understand the design architecture and come up with the UVM based environment. For this, here you need to code one AXI UVC to interface with this. Here I will have to code one AHB UVC. Here I will have to code one data link layer UVC. So we will be developing all these UVCs and we will be integrating into the test bench environment. So we'll require AXI UVC, AHB UVC, and will require one data link layer UVC. And we will be, of course, developing sequences for AXI transactions. Same, I mean, here also we need to develop sequences for AHB configuration, sequences for transaction layer, transmit and receive packets. And at the end, once we do all these things, we will integrate all these UVC into test bench, and we will develop tests. So this is a procedure we'll follow, and develop tests targeting each of the transaction layer features, including targeting all types of packets, etc. So do you have any questions till this point? And, I think what I will do is, I mean, if you have any questions, I'll take those questions. Otherwise, we'll stop the session. I mean, this session was to give you this kind of overview how a typical session goes, and you will be. I mean, we'll be developing whole thing in an interactive based environment, where we'll give you time to read through the document, come up with all these aspects. Then once you come up with that, then next in the following sessions, I'll be start coding those things. And the whole intention is again to ensure that I don't do whole work where you just keep watching the thing, and I'll be only developing, I'll be giving every description without giving enough time to you. We want that interactive based thing where you get more opportunity to learn the things, question yourself. Any questions as of now?
Yeah, Srinivas.
Yeah.
Yes, Srinivas here.
Yeah.
Actually, I joined the meeting around. Yeah, I joined the meeting around 6:30. Could you please share the video? Like, I just want to go through the initial version of the video also.
A quick overview. We just listed that what is the summary of this project. I hope I have shared this document with most of you. What is the expectation of course? What is the basically course details? What is the this project description is about? We'll be developing PCI wrapper design and verification environment. I mean, it's a both design and verification environment implementation. And will be micro. If you go to the micro architecture, it has got 4 subcomponents: AXI2, PCI bridge, transaction layer, data link layer, and MAC layer or file layer. So we'll be setting up the design environment for the submodules, and we'll also be parallelly verifying it. And wherever possible, I mean, for design development, we'll mostly use RTL only. We won't just code the model. We'll try to keep it as a proper RTL code only. So then we gave a description about how what is the significance of this design and how we are going to set up the test bench. And one more thing you need to notice is the same project given in a company, let's say Synopsys does this work, or some other company tries to develop a PCI various layer implementation. It may happen for almost a year with 5-6 people working. Overall, I would assume that way. Now, given that we are doing that in 3-4 months, so please assume that we may not be doing at the same quality as what Synopsys or Qualcomm, Broadcom might do, right? So there will always be a quality difference. I mean, we might always miss some features. We might always not code the RTL, which is completely synthesizable. At the end, the goal of this whole exercise is where you at the end of 3-4 months, you should have learned the complete PCI protocol, because you are working on design. you would always, you are compelled to go through the specification, you are compelled to understand the architecture, you are compelled to understand what does each feature does, and you should be having basic idea of individual layer functionality, how they are implemented in the design, and what type of interface they have, what type of registers they require, and micro architecture of the each of these blocks. Then you should be, third thing is, you should be comfortable with, given a PCI kind of design, PCI kind of design module, how do we set up test bench environment, how do we divide the verification into multiple layers. Like if you see, we are not verifying whole PCI as a whole unit, we are dividing this whole exercise into layers like transaction layer, data link layer, and physical layer. We are independently verifying them. So when we are verifying transaction layer, we are replacing data link layer functionality with the equivalent UVC component, that is universal verification component, what we call as VIP in system Verilog. When we are verifying data link layer, we are replacing transaction layer with the equivalent test bench component, and we are replacing file layer with the equivalent test bench component. So based on what we are going to verify, accordingly we will replace the corresponding surrounding components with the equivalent UVC components. So that exposure you will get exposure to how do we develop the sequences, then you will get exposure to how do we develop the various test bench component, how do we develop test cases, that whole overview you will get. Again, please note that you are not going to get 100% of what we do in any company. I mean, this is to ensure that you come with a real, a right expectation to the course. Don't expect that you will become a 100% perfect and you will be developing something as good as what is coded in this company. It won't be the case always. And unless you do the things by yourself, it may not be a good learning experience for you. You may again come back and say that I didn't learn anything. That would definitely be the case if you don't spend, if you just focus on attending session and just going through my notes, that would be the case only, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to tell about course. I mean, it was just to give you a quick overview about the course. I hope I was able to convey what is the expectation of the course, what we'll be doing in each session. Uh, uh, Once we are done with the session, probably I'll check how many of you would be interested to continue with the course. Then we'll discuss about the schedule. Probably we'll stick to the same schedule where we'll start with the morning 6 and we'll try to do till 8. I'm okay with little early also, 5:30 also, I would be fine. So that we can wrap it up by 7:30 kind of time. And every session will be supported with assignments where we'll give assignment. I mean, we'll give a set of things to the student to work on. For example, today I would ask you to read through the transaction layer document. Probably once it is done, we'll ask you to come up with the features. Probably few of them will merge into one assignment. In some cases, let's say once we are done with reading specification, in next following session, I would ask you to come up with your own transaction layer module. You code, whether it works perfectly or doesn't work, that's fine. What is important aspect is giving a try, and when I start coding, you will be able to easily correlate where did I miss, where we could have done improvement, and of course that time you would be in a better position to suggest me. See, there's always a chance that I will miss many things, right? I may not be able to code many things properly, right? We want it to be an interactive session where we share the suggestions and we try to come up with something which works a lot better than just me doing alone, right? That will be the thing. So in summary, we'll plan to have 3 sessions per week. Each session will be 2 hours kind of. There is no specific time restriction for the course. It may be 3 months, it may be 4 months. I am not exactly going by the number of months. At the end of the course, it should be a satisfactory completion where you should know how individual layers are developed and verified. I'm not committing anything about the complete PCI whole thing, because that I won't commit today, because I don't want a situation where I say I will do it and tomorrow I'm not doing, and it ends up all of us disappointed. That if possible we'll do it, but for timing what I'm committing is all the 3-layer implementation and all the 3-layer verification. That's the commitment. So as I said, I would suggest 6 to 8, or if possible, if all of you are fine, we'll stick to, we can move it little further itself, 5:30 to 7:30, so that you get time to go to the office or whatever, right? I mean, time to get freshen up and leave for office. So as of now, I can't say because unless I know how many of you are joining, probably starting from next Monday or so, we'll start with the course. So once you say
So
that,
Srinivas, what?
yeah.
Sorry, sir. So what will be the days? It will be let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or will be on the other alternate days exactly?
One second. So as far AX and AHP protocols are concerned, you should be knowing basic timing diagrams for sure. How a write transaction happens,
Okay.
how a read transaction happens, and in both AHP and AXI. What is the features supported by AXI, features supported by AHB. The third thing is you need to know what is the interface signals for AHB, interface signals for AXI. You should be, I think, implementation part like AXI, BFM, AXI generator, and all those things we'll be doing in the class itself. But my assumption in most of the cases is you are familiar with this thing. Let's say we are doing PCI. I assume that you know PCI functionality, PCI protocol understanding you have. With that
Yes.
assumption only I'll start, because if I again start teaching whole protocol, it would be difficult. Even in this case also,
Okay.
wherever required, I'll give basic description about AXI. Let's say AXI supports write read parallelly. How does it support out of order transaction? What all interface signals are there? Till that point, we'll give description. But there are few things. What is the significance of each signal? Let's say there will be something like AW burst, AW length, AW protection, AW cache. Till the text to that point, we won't teach. Because it is covered in some other course, and almost 70 to 80% of people attending course would have already done that. So for them, it's a revision or duplication of the things, which I'm sure they won't like us to do all that again, because they are more subscribed for the PCI course. In case you need any help, you can of course approach us offline, where we can have a quick discussion to help you understand those things. Okay, just to answer your question, I think I have answered that you need to have basic understanding about timing diagram. That is compulsory, because when we want to implement this BFM and generators, you need to know how that timing diagram works. You need to know what all ports are there. Third thing is you need to know what are the signals and what is the description about the each signal.
Okay, Srinivas. Yeah. Got it.
Any other questions?
And last question that I have, Srinivas, in the subblocks of this project, right? You were mentioning.
Yeah.
Anything we deal with? I mean, anything we know about root complex enumeration, such anything?
We'll be doing
Any
that.
kind- Okay. We'll have that, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, we'll have that.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Srinivas.
So, I mean, we'll stop the session here. What